G'day guys, welcome to Friday Night Supercars. It's 3 nights in a row for us on the sim this week, which I think might be a new record. So we are in our favourite car and we are at Montreal, or Circuit de Villeneuve, or de Villeneuve, something along those lines, where we have a very small field at the moment. At the moment there are only 12 cars registered for the session, with qualifying starting in 45 seconds. So by the looks of it, we are going to have a very quiet, boring race with not many cars, which is disappointing, but all you can do is race the cars around you. So we'll get out there and give that a go. Quali in 30 seconds. So Dave's in front of me here, ready to go. We've got Brenton and Michael Schreier, who are both pretty quick drivers, as well as Matty Dench as well. So there's a few fast guys that have turned up, but the rest is pretty disappointing. So we'll just have to get out there and give it a go. So yeah, if you're tuning in to watch, jump into the chat, say good day, and hopefully we can have somewhat of a decent run tonight, put in a good quali lap and see what happens.
That's the end of the session. P3. Pit exit's clear. Push. Okay, Mike. We've got 14 minutes to do the business.
Race control, Marshall. Copy, race control.
Copy, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Just caught that. Bit slow out of the hairpin there, unfortunately. Hopefully we can get a good run down to the finish line here. If we can stick a time in the 35s, that's a pretty solid start. Oh, a bit wide.
just done a 135.34. P3. You need to find a 10th in sector 3. There's a car behind, take care, rejoin him. Blue flag.
A bit of a messy opening lap there. We did a 35.5 in practice, so hoping to get somewhat close to that.
Yellow flag, keep your wits about you, mate. Alright, Mike, 10 minutes to go. That's 10 minutes left. Sector 1 is 0.36 off the pace.
I absolutely hate that corner.
Sector 2 is 0.6 off the pace. Good lap, that's your quickest so far. You're currently 0.8 off the pace. Sector 3 time is fast. The leader has just done a 134.91. The guy ahead's last lap time is a 136.00. Their exit looks clear. Stay behind the line. P4.
That's how I have to take it.
The guy behind has just done a 136.36. Yellow flag.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Track limits, this lap will be deleted.
Oh, that was a good start to the lap too. Ah, that sucks. Ah, damn.
Exit's clear. Push.
Well, I know there's at least 3/10 in that first sector, because that's what I was up then, and then I know there's probably another 3/10 in the corner I keep stuffing up. So if we get those two right, we should be pretty
Mike,
close to that
5
time we
minutes
did
to
in
go,
practice
5
of a
minutes
35.5. Just got to get it together. Just cut too much of that corner before. Got an off track. Freaking hate this corner. Alright, Michael, put a lap together.
The guy ahead has just done a 136.00.
Alright, here we go. Oh, I took my eyes off the track then. Why did I do that?
Sector 1 is 0.6 off the pace.
Not a great first sector. God. Ugly. God, Michael, get it together. Go again.
That's your best lap in this session. Sector 3 times okay. Just 2 minutes left, 2 minutes to go. Sector 1 is 0.7 off the pace. Sector 2 is 0.6 off the pace. You're a tenth off the pace in Sector 3.
Oh, that wasn't pretty. Oh well. As the saying goes, shit happens. Hey Witty, if you're watching. Disappointing, but it's alright. Still P4. There are only 8 cars in qualifying at the moment, so this could be the worst race in gents history, I reckon. Frustratingly, I did a 35.5 in practice, and I just couldn't get that quali right, lap right. Anyway. Race setup in, which I haven't actually tried yet.
That's the end of the session. P4.
Well, we've got Dave next to us. Brenton and Michael in front, so... I mean, the good thing is the 4 cars between myself, Dave, Brenton and Teo were all pretty similar in pace, so it should actually be a decent race.
Alrighty guys, hello and welcome to the 3rd round, I believe this is, of the GSRC Shifters Supercar series. I'm Lachlan, I'll be your race control again for tonight's race. We have a 45-minute race tonight. Sorry, I just got to move my data over. There are 2 fast repairs tonight with a incident count of 18x before you get a penalty, then every 12x after that. Please ensure you have read the club rules. You can find them on the Facebook and Discord. Use your F3 screens at all times as usual. Remember the Constantino effect on the first couple of laps with cold tyres. If you have not set a qualifying time, you are required to start from pit lane. So that is Matthew Benj, Matt Bailey, Chris Stark and Jake Jackson. If you guys are here, you guys will be required to start from pit lane. Otherwise, you will face further penalties, example, a drive-through. Instant comms is only for communicating with myself and admin. Driver-to-driver comms is to be kept to a minimum for messages like fitting in, go left, right, etc., etc. Driver-to-driver banter, please use the allocated Discord channels. I believe that is it. Just quick thanks to the sponsors, Rockdale Volkswagen, Sharp Extensive IT, Ferris Shifters, Wundry Hotel, Limitless Car Care, $1 Toyota, Ocular Aerial Photography, Raywide Game Bar, Central Coast Motor Group, Fleet and Corporate. Respect to fellow competitors. Have a good race. Well, actually, I should, just have a fun race, guys. Good luck.
Nice and neat. Stay out of trouble. Go! Car left. Still there. Still there. Clear left. P3. Has just done a 135.74. The car ahead has just done a 135.85. That was a 137.06.
Slow down like 5 seconds. Hold 41. Brilliant.
Alright Mike, we think our refueling window will open after 14 minutes and closes at about 33 minutes. Don't be distracted, defend your position. P3, you've just done a 137.23. Sector 1 is 0.7 off the pace. last lap time was a 1:37.42. Okay, Mike, don't be intimidated by this little shit. Make him work for it.
Yeah, hook the rears a little bit. Too much sliding. I think Michael and Brendan have disappeared.
Okay, Mike, your lap times are pretty consistent.
I'm cutting a nice big hole in the air for Dave sitting there tonight. I think neither of us have the pace of the two guys in front, so he'll probably happily sit there, save some fuel and let me burn up the fuel and tyres for him. Should be the smart thing to do. Cooking the rears. Drop that rear bar down.
Car right. Hold your line. Clear right. Okay, stay with him. That last lap was a 1:38.03. Car left. He's still there. Clear left side. Hold your line. Clear left. Fucking great pass, mate. Well done. The car behind is catching. The gap's now 0.35.
Oh, we've let Brendan back into it here. God, only just pulled it up as well.
Make him go the long way around. Okay, Mike, just keep hitting your marks. This is looking good. P3. That was a 137.82. Sector 1 is 0.7 off the pace. Sector 2 is 0.6 off the pace. Sector 3 is a tenth off the pace. Okay, Mike, you've got half your fuel left. The pit window is now open. The gap behind is now 0.7. Defend your position, don't let him through. That's good consistency, keep it up. V3. gap behind is now 0.8. Alright Mike, you've got 10 minutes of fuel remaining. Sector 1 is 0.48 off the pace. Sector 2 is 0.27 off the pace. Sector 3 is a tenth off the pace. Pressured. Keep your exit speeds up. Okay Mike, half distance. We think about 8 minutes of fuel left. Lap that was at 137.60. You're the man, stay on it. 20 minutes remaining, you've got 20 minutes left. The gap behind is now 1.0 seconds. car in front is pitting. Pit lane speed limit is 80 kilometers per hour. Track's clear. Push, push, push. Pitting now. The gap in front is now 1.7. Okay, Mike, don't think about the lap times, just hit each and every apex, P4. Defend hard, make them work for it. He's faster than you into turn 6. Within the track limits. On your left. Hold your line. Still there. Still there. Left, clear left. Car left. Still there. Clear left. Stay calm. Keep it smooth. Okay, Mike. Left side. Clear left. Stewards have warned us about track limits. Keep it between the lines.
Race control was looking at an incident on lap 19 involving car 60 and driver.
ahead is now 8.1 seconds. P5.
Race control to 06, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to redress that position at 205. There was not enough racing room left on the apex of turn 3 when 205 had clear override heading to the corner, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to redress that position and race on or face penalty.
Car right. Still the clear right.
Thank you,
Well done,
car
Mike.
0.
Good pass. Eyes front. P4. Lap times are pretty consistent. Time to get defensive, mate. Quicker than you entering turn 6. On your right. Clear right. Looks like P5's gone off in Wall of Champions. You'll need to slow down if you don't want a penalty. Car right. Still there. He's still there. He's still there. Still there. Right side's clear. 10 minutes to go. That's 10 minutes left. Okay, Mike. Relax. Focus. Keep it smooth. The gap in front has increased. It's now about 0.8.
Race control, can you have a look at the last corner of the last lap? I had to run wide so I didn't get taken out on that last corner and then copped a slowdown for avoiding it.
Copy, captain. That.
P5. In front is now 1.1 seconds. Your lap time was at 1:37.62. Looks like P4 has binned it in Senna. Got 10 minutes of fuel remaining. The gap behind is now 3.8.
Race control to 060, I'm going to give you another opportunity to redress that position as unfortunately
Well
car
done,
205 has to take avoiding action to avoid contact.
P4,
there.
sector 1 is 1.1, off the pace.
Oh, never mind, sorry. You are fine, yeah, my apologies.
5 minutes to go, 5 minutes left.
Apologies, I was too slow.
That lap time was 1:37.81. The gap behind is now 3.8. To go, 2 minutes. Your lap time was 1:37.65. Okay, Mike, 5 minutes of fuel remaining, 5 minutes. That lap time was 1:37.64. Good consistency, keep them coming.
Well, that has to be one of the most boring races I've ever taken part in.
2 minutes left, 2 minutes.
Oh.
P4, that's it, we're done.
by going back and doing what they did in Azerbaijan. But that's just my 2 cents.
Political. If you're going to get political about it as well, guess why they put out the red flag, and guess who asked them to do it?
Doesn't it?
You've got to remember that sport is no longer just sport.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment, exactly. And
because of money.
Put on a show. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Massey put on the best show of the year, but it took a long while to get there. A bit like tonight, actually. But no, in saying all of that, the great thing about it, Michael Angus has joined us here. We'll have a quick chat to him in just a moment, and then Hobbo as well, and maybe David Kirby and whoever else wants to come in and have a chat. There's only 6 of them, so there won't be many.
Thanks
saying all of that, and well done to Hobbo from Shreya, Kirby, Angus got home
outside, but I believe next week we'll be going
mistake
to one split for the Open and Elite League. So
any of that, it was looking like that for a long time. The only thing that we needed to sort out was 4th and 5th. We did that, not without the scrutiny of the officials, I might add. But we got there in the end. We'll have a chat to Michael Angus in just a moment. So for those of you that are just joining us, that was round 3 of the Ferro Shifters V8 Supercar Elite Split. Next week it'll be V8 combined.
It's so elite. We had 6 finishes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure what happened to the Pro-Am, the Am, the Pro... we had Elite, and so we had the best of the best, to the point where there's only 6 of them. But that's all good. A few of the cars there were non-starters. Teo Serrano, the only retirement out of the 7 that did take the green flag. We'll get to the boys in just a moment. So we're having a chat about Michael Massey, and he's down from race control with Formula 1. Azerbaijan was brilliant because the way in which Hamilton got what he wanted, they got the red flag, they got the clean-up, everything else, and then locked it up into the first quarter.
No. Red Bull got they wanted.
Red Bull got they wanted.
Red Bull asked them to do a red flag, which is what I was trying to say. It's pretty ironic.
Yeah, but and then the only reason I really enjoyed it, because I'm sitting there thinking, just call it because, 2 laps to go, you're under safety car, why red flag it? I was very grateful that they did, because when Hamilton speared off into the first quarter and put himself outside the top 10, it was I was very happy. And I don't say that as a Verstappen fan. I say that as an anyone but Hamilton fan. But anyway,
exactly. Everyone likes
Michael Angus, can you quieten this down a bit? About your evening.
Oh dear, Michael, save us, please.
Yeah, that was a bit of a struggle there, gentlemen. I can't imagine you had a lot to talk about.
We had plenty to talk about.
We made it up as we went along, Michael. Nothing different to any other week.
I was going to say, it can't have been the racing, because I don't think a whole lot happened. So I hope you had a lot of, what are usually daylight savings?
Didn't even get a mention.
Wow, it's incredible.
What have you done?
Sorry, guys.
Zach Bingo hasn't gone off yet.
No, we haven't got it's going to jackpot next. That's what I was saying, Grant.
120 mil.
There was something I was going to say about winning the 120. If I win the 120 mil next week, I won't be here next Friday. But it was another comment in relation to that, and I'll think of it and come back to it, I'm sure. Brenton Hobson, I'm being alerted that I've only got you for 5 minutes, and that's about all we need, because that was a cruise in the park for you tonight.
Yeah, it turned out to be a bit of a procession, didn't it, in the end, which is a shame.
A bit.
Not even that interesting.
We've been sitting here talking about the way of the future for sports broadcasting, Michael Massey's demise. We haven't got the daylight saving yet, but we're going there. So we're going to run through Sheldon.
It's fastest 45 minutes ever.
I know, but in saying that, Hollow, back where you belong, mate. Last week you were disappointed. This week you ditched the Formula V in favour of some practice and qualifying in the Supercar. It certainly paid off, but really, you don't want to come in here and win races that small, do you?
No, that's right. I didn't end up doing the V tonight. I actually had to do qualifying for Daytona 500 this weekend. So
very nice.
Sort of double committed on that for tonight, so I couldn't do the Vs tonight anyway, but we're doing laps for the V8 here anyway, V8 Sculpts this weekend, as you know, so actually putting in an effort to the car in this track and learning it and trying to go fast. So making the field even in V8 Sculpts is an achievement, even for someone like me. So all of a sudden, this is what happens when you can actually put in some time and effort, and you see the rewards. So I'm much happier with tonight, obviously, compared to last week. I was pretty disappointed. I wanted to come back and actually put a big stamp on it this week anyway, but you're right. We don't want to be doing races with 6 cars and don't see anyone for the whole race. So I'm sure that the splits will get merged going forwards. I can't see how it couldn't. So we'll see what happens.
So anyway, Hobo, that was brilliant from you, clinical, and it was just a smooth training run. Although I'm going to question the comment where even you struggle to get into Scops, because I reckon you're one of the elites and you know it. So don't undersell yourself here. It's too late for that. That ship is sub. But in saying that, good luck with Daytona this weekend. I know we only got you for 5 minutes, but the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, I love it. There are some people that loathe it. Where do you sit with it? Obviously, it has served you well in the past within this club, at least.
It's a contentious issue right now. It's one of my favourite tracks, to be honest, but the fact that we can't use any curbs around here at the minute just ruins it. So
For what reason, Brenton?
They've tightened all the off tracks here, so now you can't take any curb at basically any of the chicanes without getting an off track. So
that explains a lot.
Whereas that changed, and that was implemented by iRacing due to, well, I think as far as I understand, it was to do with the implementation of the Mercedes F1 car. It was a requirement with that coming into the service that a bunch of the track limits were changed around a few of the tracks. Imola's another one with the chicane on top of the hill there, where you can't take any curb there also anymore. So it's a real shame. It's catering to open wheelers, which means that in cars like this where you can technically take all those curbs, you can't if you don't want to get any off track. So you really got to drive around the track a lot more now, which has kind of ruined the enjoyment of it, because flying the curves is what made this place so good, and we can't do that anymore. So you're right, you would have noticed tonight that we're all staying away from the curbs. So.
To be fair, we didn't think there was too much. We didn't think there was too much of a need to take them in the supercars. Brendan, you didn't really need to push and thread the needle at 110%. 100 was just fine. But in saying all of that, I mean, if we're catering towards open wheelers, then that just opens up the door for my suggestion that Formula V becomes the main course on a Friday night, and that with the racing it dished up tonight, it'd be justifiable in this particular instance, I would have thought. You should come back and race V's as your regular hobby.
Well, I didn't see the V's tonight, so I'm assuming that's
extraordinary.
They tend to put on a good race. You could probably race them around a shoebox and they'd still go all right. They're just one of those cars that it sort of tends to create good racing due to the nature of them. So that would have been good to be a part of, but like I said, just had some other stuff this week, but I'll try and make it back in for more V stuff, especially if the supercars were racing 5 people.
Exactly, and that's the other thing too, mate, because I mean, Grant mentioned it earlier, because we swayed off topic just to fill in the gaps here, and there were plenty of them, but we were talking about his background in broadcasting and the way it's evolved. You're part of that, because you stream to your followers. They'd much rather watch a full field than a processional cruise in the park.
I had that exact comment tonight. I had people cheering for my teammate in my own chat because they wanted a race. So. You're right. No one wants to watch a procession. I mean, I was okay with it this week because for me that was a test session for Sunday. But if it were any other week, you'd be sort of a bit frustrated with that, to be honest. So I was not sure whether or not Michael and I would end up having a good battle tonight, but he was just marginally off, and I mean marginally, and that was enough for me to break the toe, and then we never saw each other again. So,
it can't have just been marginally, because the win margin I think was 10 seconds or more in the end from you. So, what was the difference between you paired tonight? Because normally it is a lot closer than that.
He was a lot better in the back half of the race. I think it was just tyres, so he probably leant a little too hard on his tyres trying to go with me at the start, and then that really hurt him for the rest of that first stint. So, they're not. You can't punish them too hard. These cars are so difficult to be on the very edge of performance. You can't overdrive them; they'll punish you. And then if you try and lean just a little too hard, even if you're not making sort of big mistakes on the track, you can overwork the tyres, and then it just compounds. The longer you go, the worse it gets, and you can't get them back. So that's probably all that was tonight. I mean, his pace is really close with mine. He was quicker than me in practice, so there's not much between us there, but I was just able to be a little more consistent, I guess, and not use as much car and tyre during the actual stint. And across 30 laps or whatever we ended up doing, I mean, a couple of tenths a lap isn't a lot, but you times it by 30 and it is. So it's a shame that we didn't get to have a proper battle, because I kind of thought we might be able to, but that's not to say it'll be like that again next week. I'm sure of it.
All right. One more question, and I'm going to let you go because obviously you spoke about the tyre where you can relate to that based on last week at the Charlotte Roval. Next stop, Red Bull Ring, sprint racing. Thoughts?
Red Bull Ring, a track I severely dislike. I'm not a big fan of that place. I've never really enjoyed. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about that track. I just don't enjoy racing there. But it should make for decent racing though. The draft should be pretty prevalent there. Might see some guys staying a little closer together with any luck. It has put on good racing in the races I've done there before, but it's just I don't know what it is, if it's a track surface or something. Like I have issues with something like Suzuka as a track I don't like, just simply based off the track surface. I can't seem to get it to hook up. I don't know if it's that or something else. I don't know, but it's not a track that I particularly enjoy, but it does put on decent racing. So with any luck, we at least get a good race out of that.
Looking forward to seeing you next week, mate. Go well done, and good luck with Daytona this weekend.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
I think it might have been 6.5 minutes, but considering you said we only had you for 5, I thought I'd get it over and done with for you. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. There he is, Brenton Hobson on his way out of here. David Kirby, Michael Angus remain, Sheldon Hart as well. Let me go to David Kirby, and we'll come back to Michael Angus because I want to have a chat with him about the antics he and Brenton Nitschke provided to keep us at least half awake and entertained. David Kirby, second week in a row that you've netted yourself a podium. Last week the W, this week the SSR boys back to form. It helps when Trey doesn't have a packet loss that puts him 2 laps down at the start. But still, just as a processional run, and you net yourself another podium. Your thoughts on the 45 minutes, because it looked pretty good from where we sat as far as your individual race was concerned, and let's be honest, at the end of the night we were only stacking up individual races because no one was actually battling by the time we got to the 40th minute.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Look, it was good. Got a really good start. You got in front of Australia, but then my spotter wasn't telling me where he was, so I just had to presume that he was still there. So obviously went a bit wide there at turn 2. That allowed him through, and then allowed Michael through. And then it was Michael and I had a really good battle through that first half of the race. We swapped spots there a couple of times. He made an error, I got through. He made an error, I got through. I made an error, he got back through. So, and then it was a case of just setting myself up for the undercut, where I could actually get into the pit lane without drilling him. Which certainly wouldn't have ended well.
Tricky on this track, isn't it? Because you don't have to brake until about another 100 yards later on the guy who's actually taking the chicanes. Yeah,
100% Grant. You've really got to judge it right, The only other option is if you have a good run out of the hairpin, you can appear to go up the inside and then pull over and get into pits, because you can get it pulled up before the cones, but it's a risky move, because if you get it wrong, you end up dying. So, but no, it was good. And then obviously got the undercut done, and then obviously saw, which I needed to do because Nitschke was coming up behind me, so he was catching us. So wanted to sort of avoid that and get out of that battle and get into some clean air, which in my end worked out well. But then I heard there was a few little mishaps and everything, a couple of redresses by race control behind me. So I'd be interested to hear what happened there as well.
All right, well, we'll find out in just a moment. But no, well done to you. It's interesting, isn't it, that as soon as iRacing, thread the needle and change the the limits of adhesion and the markers in terms of what's legal and what isn't, what's going to get you slow down, what's not. It's amazing the opinion of the circuit and the way in which it changes from driver to driver. Of course, Hobbo's not a huge fan of the way in which they're now, as he put it, catering towards the open wheelers. That was a little bit surprising for us, but it puts the onus on the driver to not abuse the ripple strips, and it's interesting to just see the change of the dynamic in terms of how you've got to attack this circuit, because not being able to ride those curbs changes it incredibly.
Oh, look, 100%, and I'll agree with Hobbo. It sucks at the moment. Obviously, just like Hobbo, we're doing scops as well. So I'm obviously sitting in a session at the moment. So once I finish here, I'll head out on track and start doing night 2 of pre-qual, and Michael Angus is in there as well. So, but look, it's tough, and this week's been especially tough for me. I've had COVID since Wednesday or something, so so I'm bit under the weather. Yeah, but the bad thing, probably the worst thing out of all, is I've been vanished to the sim room. That's where I've been camped up for the last few days. So,
do I have to?
Yeah. Someone's got to do it, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, look, the track limits are definitely different, and it did take us a couple of nights there in the lead up to pre-qual starting last night to actually get a feel for how much of those curbs you can actually take now, where beforehand you could literally put half a car over there, but you put an inch of your inside wheels, one side of your wheels inside that white line, and you get an off track and the lap's done. So it's tough to manage, but it's the same for everybody, and some are managing it better than others.
Because that final chicane, you used to be able to carry so much speed if you just put your inside wheels on the other side of the big concrete curb, and it would pull you around and then pull you back the other. Same coming up to not so much there, but the next chicane as well. So yeah, absolutely changes the way you approach the race. Braking markers, acceleration, speed carried through corners, all of that. So yeah, it's a big thing to change.
Oh, look, 100%, and I think, and it's those two main chicanes, the one on the back straight, and then the Great Wall of Champions as well. That you used to be able to take the first hit really well, and then basically stay off the second one. But when you get it right and you actually glide the car through, it is quite rewarding, especially with how tight the limits are. So, but again, it's the same for everyone, and I know quite a few people have expressed their dislike for it this week, but there's not much we can do about it. They're the rules that we're given. That's the field we're given to play on. We've got to stay in between the lines, don't we?
It'll be interesting to see how iRacing responds to it. Not favourably, probably. They don't usually take the hit.
Or probably not at all.
No, exactly. Thoughts? I'm going to go to Michael Angus in a moment, then we're going to wrap this up and have an early mark because, by gee, we deserve it. But thoughts on the Red Bull Ring before we do, mate?
Yeah, the Red Bull Ring, we raced there a few weeks ago in another series. We're doing a bit of a European tour on a Sunday night, so it's quite good. I don't mind it. It serves up good racing. You do have the drafts and everything as well. Obviously from turn 1 down to turn 3, and then from 3 down to 4. So plenty of passing opportunities as well. And I believe Race Control did say at the end of that race there that next week it'll be one big split. So fingers crossed that that's the case, because what we had 14 last week, 7 tonight. It's a bit ridiculous. Look, I'll take the points, don't get me wrong. A championship's a championship. You race with whoever turns up on the night, but I think it's time now to pull the pin on the two splits, stick everybody together, and let's put on a good show on a Friday night for those at home.
Exactly. But what? Because I've got you two guys here, and you've got vast experience across other splits as well. It's not necessarily the popularity of the supercars is diminishing. It could be, and no one would be surprised if it was, because you can't have too much of a good thing. But it could be also a case that people are opting to race elsewhere within the club this season because we've got no shortage of different options for which everyone can sink the teeth into. But is the supercars becoming a less of a draw card than some of the other established championships within this club? Look at TCR, for instance. It's only an entree, but they're getting 40 per week. The GT4s are still getting 20 odd a week. There are more popular categories within the club, when once upon a time, and you two know this because you've been here a while, this was Kingpin.
Oh, look, I think absolutely. But I think, like Michael Angus touched on it last week, and I reckon he's probably hit the nail on the head. Friday nights and stuff like that. With COVID restrictions lifting around the country, lifting around the country. So COVID brain. People are being able to get out more and stuff like that. So that could play a massive part. It's those external things that are probably keeping people away and keeping the numbers down. But like you said, but again, yes, there's the amount of variety within the GSRC is huge, and people have so many options. And like for me, I race the supercar and I don't race anything else, because if you want to be good at something, you've got to stick to it and you've got to stay with the one discipline. Yes, I'll go do an enduro or something like that as a one-off, as a special event, but on a weekly basis, swapping between cars, you do find that you struggle. And I've seen over time that those guys that have actually pick a category or pick a class or something and stick to that, you've actually watched them grow and get faster and get better. And where those that are switching between cars and series and stuff like that on a nightly or a weekly basis, or multiple times a week, you can see they seem to be stuck in a bit of a rut where those that are dedicating to the one or the other are actually improving. And I think for me personally, that's where my speed has come from, because I've just stuck to the one thing and worked damn hard at getting everything right. And and I think that shows that to give a shot at the premier class in Scops this year is it's a big step forward. And got a great bunch of guys around to do it in Fishy Motorsports, and Michael's coming along for the ride too, I think, so where he can. So it's going to be a fantastic year, and I think hopefully throughout the year we'll be able to mix it with like Hobbo and Shreya and stuff like that up the front, a little bit closer to them without them driving away so much. So it'll be a great experience moving forward.
All right, mate. You go and rest up, because that spicy cough sounds like it's got a stranglehold on you.
Sounds like we need to put him down. I thought he was going to pass out.
Curtain.
He's but that being said, he's going to be the envy of a few people, because not too many people have a sim rig in their solitary confinement unit. There's no doubt about that. Enjoy that, mend up, and obviously good luck in the Scop stuff, and we'll catch up with you next week, mate. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks guys, and Michael, I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Michael Angus, while we got you, thanks for keeping us entertained. You and Brendan Nitschke and Lachlan Murphy played his role in this as well because of the redress situation. A couple of interesting moments between you pair, and unfortunately it was his demise that was the final nail in the coffin as far as the battle was concerned. It's a bit hard to redress something when you do it yourself, but what do you make of the night in terms of that battle between you pair, because that was about the only thing that was keeping anyone amused who was tuning into the broadcast, I must say.
No, to be honest, I could actually hear your voice going, "Thank God something's happening," while we were doing it. So,
you need to turn that. You need to turn that down a bit. That'll be really distracting.
I know, right? Nah, to be honest, it's just racing. Brenton pinched me on, I think it was turn 3, and sort of cut across the front of the car, which spun me around. And by the time I got going again, I was about 10 seconds behind him. And then I think he tried to send it into the last corner, and to avoid him wiping me out, I went wide, and then I copped a slowdown, which meant he got past. So he had to redress that one as well. So in the end, it is what it is. It's when you're out there running around with 6 or 7 cars, and I'm not really in championship contention, to be honest. I didn't call any of it in. It was actually, I think, because Lachlan was probably bored. He was already watching, so I was happy just to let it go and have a run around. And as Dave sort of mentioned, we had a good battle at the start. I was wondering when he was going to dive into the pits, and to be honest, he went on the lap I was going to go on, and then I thought, no, I'll go one more, which ended up meaning he was able to jump me in the pits. But no, I mean, considering there was only 7 cars in the field, I think 6 of the 7 cars are all Scops drivers this season. So the ones that did turn up, I know Teo's in there, I know Brenton's in there giving it a crack, as well as myself, Dave, Michael, and Brenton. So for the guys that did turn up, it was it was a good battle. But I think, as Dave touched on, the Friday night is probably what's getting everyone at the moment. It's also a fair later start as well for when you compare TCRs and a few of the other races that are kicking off at 6:30, 6:45. I think people may be struggling to get permission from the missus at 8:30 on a Friday at prime time. Kids and go out for dinner and those sorts of things. So I think you'd find if you swap supercars back to a Tuesday or Wednesday at a 7 o'clock time slot, it'd probably be right back where it was.
Well, that's the other thing as well. There's only so many nights in the week, and the club have already got their Monday and Wednesday well and truly cemented. I think supercars are moving back to Thursday next season, but that was actually Adam Lavis, who suggested to me that they'd keep it on Friday night for broadcast purposes this season, and we ended up broadcasting Thursday anyway. But next season, and this is going back to, I think there was a comment there about, have you got another night of the week? Well, it could be Thursday nights next season, and part of that, and I don't like this in any way, shape or form, part of that was because next season I'll be doing Monday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, and that's part in course due to a deal that I put in place with the club that I'm happy to stick around, but I need Friday nights off because of West Brabant radio commitments. We're doing some Friday night sport once the AFL season starts up locally. I don't like that the Supercar schedule is being dictated by my availability. If someone else wants to come along and commentate the Supercars on a Friday night, happy to give it to you at the moment. But in saying all of that, it is getting harder to dedicate time unless, you're in a position of commentary or employment by iRacing or whatever the case may be, to dedicate time on a weeknight, especially when it is a Friday. So everyone's got a good point there. I think one of our other problems at the moment is, you guys mentioned the late starts. When you look at the fact that we've got 5 different bloody time zones at the moment, that's the biggest problem we've got. It could easily be 4 if Queensland got with the program. What about the audacity of Palaszczuk today?
There we go.
Says,
I got it. Big
He
game.
couldn't leave it, could he?
Around for a reason.
I always listen to Queenslanders. Rubbish. The Southeast has been screaming for daylight saving for a decade, you dope, and no one has lifted a finger. I rest my case, you pack of geese.
But
anyway,
on the numbers,
Sorry.
I also think it's a little bit like a nightclub. Do they still have those nightclubs? But a cafe, a restaurant, a popular place. When it's busy, people want to be there. They want to be involved. And we've seen it, halving in numbers. And I think when people see some people not turning up to the nightclub or the cafe, they go, oh, yeah, I
maybe
don't
it's
want
not
to
as
be running
good
around on my own. Yeah. And so, I think it's a victim of its own lack of success, if you will, that as
that's
the
right.
numbers dropped off, it's an exponential thing. We could look at the curve and try and flatten it a bit, perhaps, but I think there's plenty for the committee to go on next in preparation for next season, and of course nothing will change during the course of this season. But can you imagine a night of V's followed by TCRs, or vice versa?
Sign me up. Right? I mean, dead set. In fact, if anything, that should be. I work Tuesday nights once the RSRA series starts up as well. But we should have a night where I'm on comms, even if it means the Porsches move to Thursday. But if we have TCR into Formula V or Formula V into TCR on a Wednesday night, sign me up. I'm here every day of the week. Absolutely. That would mean that we'd move. It'd be IndyCar and Supercar sharing a night, and then Porsches and Mazdas. I like the idea of one make Wednesday. That's working nicely at the moment. And of course, GT's on Mondays as well, cemented now. But yeah, we've raised a lot of good points. I don't think we've solved all the world's problems, but we'll get there. Starts with daylight saving in Queensland and then goes from there. But the fact of the matter is,
tick both boxes.
Exactly.
Well done.
Michael Angus. Word has it that you'll have more fish to fry on a Friday night going forward because you had quite a lot of fun over in South Australia last week. Give us an update on how all that how all that played out, how all that went about, because obviously you were over there with regards to preparations for Birmingham, were you not?
Dave and I were actually talking about this the other day, that I think a lot of these post-race interviews are turning into athletics updates, which I'm all for.
We've already had a speedway update tonight. We've had a television update. We may as well have an athletics update.
No, it was actually a really successful event. We had Pete Bowl and successful. Hey, mate, you sound like you were dying a second ago. Don't you give me a crack. No, we had Peter Bowl and Rowan Browning both hit the track for the first time, which was awesome to see, and to see the crowds returning to athletics off the back of Tokyo was actually awesome. So we've got a few of the big guns coming down to Melbourne next, which is March 16 from memory. We'll have Kelsey Lee Barber and a couple of Peter Bowl will be down here as well. But no, everything working towards Birmingham, and then obviously the announcement during the week that Victoria are bidding for the 2026 Com Games here.
As well as Tasmania, apparently.
And Tassie. It's gonna be a big 10 years for our sport, for Olympic sports. When you throw in there, home Com Games, the home Olympic Games. everything coming up Millhouse. It's good to see.
Well, actually, it's going to be a big 15 years because obviously Gold Coast 2018 into Brisbane 32. That's 14 years right there, and we're going to have potentially 2 comp games and a home Olympics all in that time frame, plus all the success that we've enjoyed through watching the Olympics in a friendly time zone, like obviously Japan and Beijing. So happy days there. Next one's Melbourne. We look forward to an update with regards to that. As for your own racing, mate, obviously Scops to look forward to. What are your thoughts on the Red Bull Ring? Because that is the next stop, and hopefully you'll have a few more friends to play with.
Yeah, I think I'll miss that one, unfortunately. So I might jump in the comm box and have a chat again, but I'll be away next weekend for another event. So I seem to be copping every second weekend at the moment. But as for my racing, as Dave mentioned, we are giving Scops a bit of a crack this season. Again, I'll be missing a few races here and there, but I'll jump in and have a crack when I can. And obviously Dave and a few of the boys from his fishy team that we've seen here in the past will be running around as well. So it's good to have a few of the gents stepping up. Teo's in there, as I mentioned before. Brenton and I had a good race tonight, but we'll see each other out there shortly in Scops prequal. So yeah, as far as our racing goes, it'll be all hands on deck for supercars, and then hopefully we start to see a few more of the CMR boys return for a couple of the endurance races, GT3s and whatnot throughout the season as well.
I'm going to throw another idea out there. If we do go back to not having a broadcast night on Friday because of, all the circumstances we've already just mentioned,